All right, welcome back. So here in front of me, I've got pretty much the entirety of the Daiwa 2019 bait casting reel lineup. The two reels I don't have sitting here in front of me, I don't have a Daiwa Fuego. I can show you where it would fit in the lineup. And I don't have a Daiwa STIS A. And again, I'll show you kind of where it fits in the lineup as well. But I've got them grouped into 4 categories based on essentially on the size of the reel. So I did a video some years ago. It was one of my more viewed videos, comparing the size of a bunch of different bait cast reels. Working down from like a 300 size reel, which is like a your swim bait or inshore reel, big inshore reel, to some of the smaller bait casters. Which the smallest one I had at the time was a 13 fishing concept reel, but the current Daiwa lineup's got really 4 distinct frames that all the reels are built on. 5 distinct frames that all the reels are built on. And I'll break them down in a little bit more detail in some other videos, looking at what the different sizes are. But start from the top here. So the original Daiwa Tattoo has been discontinued in name. The reel they still make the reel. I've got one of them sitting right here in front of me, in fact, and that's this one right here. So this is currently marketed as the Daiwa Tattoo 150, and this is the original Daiwa Tattoo. They called it a 100 at the time. The smaller reels have come out since then, so this got relegated to a 150 size reel. I own several of these. I primarily use them for throwing crankbaits because they just compared to the other ones, they hold a lot more line. So that's the Tattoo 150. And then built on the same size frame with some minor tweaks is the Tattoo 200. I did a more in-depth review or breakdown of the Tattoo 150 a while back. This reel here is what I had hoped the 150 was going to be, but this reel came out, which made me happy. So this is the Tattoo 200. It's a much deeper spool. I don't have a 150 with no line on it, but as you can see, this is a fairly small center section of the spool here. And in addition to that, the frame around the outside here is a little bit thinner, a little bit narrower. So there's less, it's a thinner spool in the middle, and the spool itself is wider, or is bigger around. So this thing holds a good bit more line even than the 150. I've been using these reels, and I've got several of them now, both the 200s and the old Tattoo HDs that I use for moderate sized swim baits. So we've either got 65-pound braid or 25-pound mono on them for throwing hard swim baits. So next up, this one's kind of an outlier. This is again a Tattoo 200, but they market it as a Coastal. So the big difference between this one and the Tattoo 200 right next to it, other than the color, is one, it's got a power, it's got the big cranking handles on it. Take it or leave it. That's a lot of personal preference. But then this one also has corrosion-resistant bearings in it. So a little bit better, or at least more durable ball bearings throughout the reel. But otherwise, this is the same Tattoo 200. You pay a little bit more for the handle. In fact, the handle through Daiwa is available separately. It's a $50 upgrade just by itself. And then the corrosion-resistant bearings in this thing add a little bit to the price. So I found that one on clearance for really, really cheap. I just had to pick one up to have. So finally, it's been on the international market for a little while. They finally brought it to the U.S. There was a previous version of this that was a little bit different, but this is again, built on the same frame with some minor tweaks. This is a Zillion HD. This was announced at ICAST this last year for the U.S. market. Similar frame. This side plate over here is different. It's aluminum. These beefier inserts around the main bearing there, or the anti-reverse clutch, is a little bit beefier, make the reel a little bit stronger. The star drag is aluminum instead of Zillion, which most of the rest are. And this side plate over here is a little bit different. Different handle, unique to this reel. And then The other big change is this is an inshore rated reel. It's mag sealed ball bearings, so they use a ferrofluid to keep moisture from getting down in the bearings, which in theory should keep the bearings lasting longer in saltwater and harsher environment. So pretty expensive reel, big heavy duty brass gears, built like an absolute tank. I've got 2 of them that I'll be using for frogging and punching, so things that tend to be pretty hard on reels. So those are the big frame reels. As we get down a little bit farther, so now 2 years ago I believe the CT size reels came out. So I don't have a regular Tatula CT. What I do have is a Tatula CT Type R, which has been discontinued. They still make the regular Tatula CT. It's a smaller frame than the 150, so you can see it's a little bit narrower left to right, and as a result it's a little bit lighter as well. Not a huge amount, but it is a little bit lighter. So this is kind of the new or the workhorse affordable reel. This comes in at about $130 for the regular Tatula CT, and if you want to go a little bit less expensive as well, you can eliminate the T-wing here, and by doing so you end up with the Daiwa Fuego. So the Fuego is the non-T-wing version of this reel here, this frame. The next upgrade from that on the same frame, this is a Tatula SV. So you're going from about $130. This is the $200 price point here. And what this adds is it adds this stress-free versatile spool. It's a super lightweight spool that's critically braked. Spool control on this thing is absolutely fantastic. So this reel, once you've got it set up, is extremely hard to backlash. It's great for skipping. It's great for pitching and flipping. I really like this reel. If I don't really care about how far I'm casting, I'm more concerned about having control over the cast, I really like an SV reel. So that's the Tatula SV. That used to be my workhorse reel. I had a whole bunch of them. I've gradually been moving from that to this, which is the next level up. So this is the Zillion SV. And essentially what it adds a free-floating spool. So again, I'll do another video, and I'll link it in the description once it's there, talking about the big differences as you go from the Tatula to the Zillion, what you're getting, and what your real differences are. But the free-floating spool, it's a little bit lighter spool as well, different handle, but just the difference in feel between the Tatula and the Zillion is absolutely amazing, actually on the water. As controlled as I feel with the Tatula, I feel even more control with the Zillion. So I've got 4 of these, I think, now, that are kind of my primary soft plastics reels. So now, last year, this reel here came out. This is the Tatula 100. So this is an even smaller frame now than the CT frame. A couple things they added. They added this zero just spool tension. This knob here is normally you adjust it to get rid of side play or to tighten it down if you want to reduce backlashing even more rather than just using the brakes. People that are more experienced with a bait caster typically will run their spool tension a lot looser. Basically, just enough spool tension on it to keep the spool from moving side to side in the frame. This is set that way from the factory, so essentially they call it the zero just for a reason. You don't need to mess with this thing. All your adjustments you can make right here on the magnetic brake. You've got 20 settings in the magnetic brake. They'll let you handle just about anything. This is a significantly smaller reel even than the CT, and it's lighter as a result. So I've got this one. This is the only one I've got just because I've gone to different reels for the most part, but this is kind of my spinnerbait reel. It's great for better casting distance because you don't have the SV spool slowing things down. So this is just a real basic no frills reel, and this is kind of the benchmark or the standard which all the new Tatula reels are based off of. So that's the Tatula 100. Released at ICAST this year was the Tatula Elite. So now take that same Tatula 100, same zero just. They've upgraded the spool, and I haven't really torn into this one yet or gotten a chance to fish it. But as you can see, basically, other than finish externally, these two are pretty much the same reel. I'm going to get this thing out on the water. I bought the same gear ratio that I had my Tatula 100 in. I'm going to use it in the same applications and see if the upgrade in price, because this is almost a $50 more expensive reel, let's see if it's worth it. And I've got the pitch and flip version of this on order. They haven't started shipping yet. It's got a different spool still. It's a shallower spool specifically for close-in work. So time will tell how I feel about this reel. There's that one. And then the real sleeper that nobody's talking about, that I think is actually the most significant reel that Daiwa came out with this last year, is this right here. So this is the Coastal 150 SV. So I've got it grouped in with the Tattoo 100 because it's built on the same frame. However, what they have done with this reel is this is the only reel in that size with an SV spool, so a stress reversible spool that makes it extremely difficult to backlash. But it's also a deeper spool than the Tattoo SV, which means it holds more line. So it's got all the other features of the Tattoo 100, but it adds the SV spool, and it's actually I'll have to double check the price, but I think it's the same price as the Elite. So and this one's saltwater rated. Great little reel. It's super lightweight and should cast incredibly well, but I'm still waiting to get this one out on the water as well. So expect some full reviews on these other reels and some compare and contrast once I've had some water time with them. And then back here in the back row, kind of my babies. So these are Daiwa's flagship reels. This is the STIS SV TW. Really, really compact reel, super lightweight magnesium frame. These are made in Japan. All the rest of these up in front here are made in Thailand. So the whole Tattoo series is made in Thailand. I believe this one, yep, even this Zillion here is made in Thailand. However, the STIS magnesium frame, made in Japan. It's similar in size to the Tattoo 100. However, it is a proprietary frame. It does not share the frame, even though it's just different material, same frame. That's not the case with this reel. It's got the original zero adjust spool tension on it, and then this is also, it has an SV spool. So for close-in work, this is currently my primary jig reel. Really makes skipping a jig. I'm not very good at it, but this makes skipping a jig fairly easy. And just all around fantastic little reel. I find this reel is in my hand, or the rod with this reel on it's in my hand a lot. Just one, because I use it for the type of fishing I like to do, but I put this reel on that rod for that type of fishing because I like this reel so much. And then lastly, this was a Bassmaster Classic release this year. This is the STIS CT SV TW. So as small as this and light as the STIS was, this one's even smaller and even lighter. Now, in the U.S. market, North American market, this is a super, super expensive reel. It's actually less expensive than the regular STIS on the international market, but for some reason, Daiwa decided that we needed to get stuck in the eye as far as prices go here in the U.S. But again, an absolutely awesome little reel. I'll do a full review video of this reel here before too much longer. But at this money, this reel's a no-brainer. At the current market price, North American market, I don't think I'll buy another one. This is a $700 reel. I don't think I'm going to buy another one. But if it was, again, priced more in line with the regular STIS, I would probably buy one or two more of these things. I like them that much. So anyway, that is the 2019 Daiwa lineup for their bait casting reels. Like I said, I'll do some more reviews going through each row. So the large frame reels, I'll go into a little more detail about those. I'll tear them apart. And then same with the CT frames, the 100 frames, and then the STISs going forward. But if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Until next time, cheers and tight line.